Hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson. How are you doing today? I'm recording this on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my mom and my wife, who's a mother, and every mother out there, and all your mothers. So there you have it. Happy Mother's Day. Beautiful day in the Berg. As is the time of year, this is kind of the off season. But I have some two big picture NFL items to talk about that directly reflects with the Steelers here. So, about half of the positions are really premium positions, which doesn't make them super premium. I mean, quarterback's the most premium of all NFL positions. We know that. However, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge pass rusher, defensive tackle, corner. That's where the money is going in contracts. So if you look at the top five at all those six positions, the numbers are very, very high. You look at the top 10, you look at the average starting dollars, whatever. Those are the hardest positions to find. They're the most important, as opposed to guard, center, tight end, running back, off the ball linebacker, safety. Sure, there are some big contracts there, especially at off the ball linebacker, but not many. So where the league is putting their dollars, premium positions, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge pass rusher, defensive tackle, corner. Okay, that probably won't shock any of you. But how about this? This past draft, the first 43 selections, the first 43 players off the board, 41 of them are from those premium positions. 41 out of 43. Now, it helps this was a good tackle class, but it wasn't a good edge class. It wasn't a good defensive tackle class. There wasn't a top 10 slam dunk corner. Receivers always strong. And yes, quarterbacks went early, but they weren't around on pick 23. They went early and were done. 41 of the top 43 were a quarterback, a wide receiver, a tackle, an edge pass rusher, a defensive tackle, or corner. I say this in wake of the draft because I think you need to look through the lens when you project Steelers first round picks or team needs that 41 of 43 in the league are going at these positions. And you ask, well, who are the other two? Brock Bowers, a rare tight end prospect, and he would break that trend every year, and Graham Barton, which brings me to the Steelers. So a very good source basically told me that when the Steelers were on the clock, their top three guys were Fontenot, Barton, and Tyler Guyton in that order. And that makes all the sense in the world to me. And frankly, I thought Fontenot was a different tier than those guys. I mean, he was lucky to be there, run to the podium, go get him. That's a premium dude at a premium position. And frankly, most years, I think he goes in the top 10. I believe that, But I say this, and it's not a, I told you so type of thing. Because the Steelers got their center in the second round. Everybody's happy, including me, including you, everybody. We're going to talk about these linemen in a minute. But many of you before the draft, they have to get that center at the first round. They got to take Barton or JPJ or trade up for Frazier into the early second round in those top 43. And I understood the logic, and I was into it, but I also thought, well, if you can take a tackle, you take a tackle. And I said that 8,000 times. And this is not me saying I'm right and you're wrong, because that's not the way that this goes. And I'm not saying everyone out there wanted a center in the first round. But you have to, more now than ever in this league, is think about the economics. And the Steelers have a former Cap guy, a guy whose roots are with Cap and NFL money in charge of things. You think it's an accident they went tackle 2 years in a row with Omar Khan in charge? Absolutely not. And Barton was such a good prospect that there was a price that they would do it. Now, would they have tried to trade down at 20 if he'd have been their top guy on the board? Possibly. Who knows? But only two teams, the Raiders and Bucks, took a non-premium player out of the top 43 picks. I just found that really interesting. And again, It's not saying all you out there, the one takes center in the first round, are dumb and stupid and don't know anything. That's not what I mean at all. And Barton's a great prospect. I think he's going to be a really good player for the Bucks and be worth that pick. But including fifth-year option stuff, it's not real wise. You know, I mean, the league is telling us this stuff. So take that data and learn from it, all of us. BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoffs. Get all the latest stats, scores, and news available to follow on your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So another big picture thing with this draft. Alan Wedsworth asked me for the mailbag last week. I didn't get to it. Given how the team likes to bring along rookies slowly, how do you start camp with the O-line? Don't want to have too many moving pieces. Does it mean managing them in preseason more? Well, I correlate this with a big picture thing with the league in this draft as well. First off, I think camp will open left to right. Jones, Ciamalu, Frazier, Daniels, Fontenot. And Dan Moore, they'll say, you better start taking a lot of reps at right tackle and left because we need you to do both. Otherwise, you're going to lose value to us. I think they'll basically anoint Frazier the starter, but who's to say? I mean, that's not a real Steelers move. They kind of did it with Pouncey, but this guy's a second-round pick. He's not a mid-first-round center. But I do think, and there's also not a lot of competition for Frazier, to be honest with you. So I do think that plays in. So a couple things that I want to talk about with these three rookie linemen as well as the league as a whole. This past draft class, as I told you, was extremely old. It's the last one that has COVID ramifications, tons of sixth-year guys. Bo Nix started more college games than any quarterback in the history of college football. So this was an old draft. And I do think over the years, maybe more so with Kevin than Omar, who knows, that the Steelers have been very favoring young guys. Let's try to get 2 contracts out of them. Let's develop them. And it's basically worked. I mean, especially way back when. However, something no one talks about with that, and you know, Peyton Wilson was an older guy too. You know, he has a lot of starts. But something people don't talk about lately is with this CBA, there's less and less practice time and developmental time and training camp time and mini camp time than ever. My point is, it's much harder now in the NFL to develop young, raw talent than it used to be. And I think the Steelers realized that. Although it's hard to say because everybody was drafting from an old pool this year. And they went out and got, you know, no one's plug and play. First overall pick is not plug and play. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not plug and play. These guys all are going to adjust to the league. But if you have a lot more experience, I think the Steelers embraced that this year because I think they're a little more win now than people might think coming from ownership. And realize, as the league is, that, boy, I'm having a tough time developing my talent. And I draft player X in the 3rd round. He sits a year, or he special teams for a year, and then I gradually get him in like everyone used to. And then he turns into a really good player, and then I got to only get one good year out of the guy, and I got to pay him or trade him or, you know, watch him go play for someone else. Because developing players is harder now than ever. And that brings me back to the O-line. So I did a little digging, and I knew that McCormick, Fontenot, Frazier had played a ton of snaps at the college level. And it was even more than I thought, to be honest with you. Because Fontenot's not a 6-year guy. You know, Frazier got hurt. I mean, broke his leg. But still, McCormick, I knew he played a ton. He has 57 starts and has appeared in 70 games. He's played over 3,400 college snaps, almost all at guard. I don't care about that. I mean, he just played a lot of football over the last 5-6 years. 3,400 snaps. Frazier isn't far off. He's played over 3,200, even with that broken leg. Wow. It's a lot. Fatanu also has a lot, but he's not in that neighborhood. He's at 2,139. But he also played deep into the college playoff. I mean, his level of competition was better. He played in bigger games recently, playoff games against the best teams in the country. Tons and tons of pass protection snaps, too, from him. And frankly, he's just an awesome player prospect as we started to talk this show. Last thing I want to talk about on this front is I'm not implying he's going to flop, but the fact that Frazier is center only worries me a little, and I think it's one of the biggest reasons he lasted to 51 overall. And what's great is we talked about there's not someone in front of him that he has to beat out, because you're center only and you're not the starter. There's only one guy that can get hurt on the field for you to get your jersey dirty. So, that if you're right tackle only, that's tough unless you're the starter. I think he will be the starter. But here's the one thing I just want to throw out since we're talking O-line and rookies, etc. Is another trend you see around the league now for the last decade plus is when teams draft their center of the future, they love to put him at guard for a year. Why? Why not just throw him at center? Because center is really mentally taxing. And things happen extremely fast at center. On the O-line, the closer you get to the ball, the faster things happen. Stunts, Aaron Donald getting off the ball, whatever. Here comes it's crowded. Here comes a linebacker blitz, and I'm still trying to hold off this nose tackle, Dexter Lawrence, who's pushing me on ice. I'm on ice skates trying to hold him, and a linebacker's coming to my other gap. But mostly it's the mental stuff. Now, I'm not implying at all that Frazier's dumb or anything like that. From what I've gathered, it's quite the opposite. But a rookie dealing with NFL defenses can be taxing, and he's going to be a center-only guy. I'm not particularly worried about it, but I did want to throw it out there. The two guards to his right and left are both very good communicators. Siamalu is considered kind of a savant on the line, so that should help quite a bit. But since we were talking rookie O-line and trends and snap counts and all that good stuff and development and, turning prospects into great players. So to throw that out there, that's going to be an obstacle for him that some don't have. Like Powers Johnson is going to be a guard for the Raiders. They may look at him as he's their long-term center. The guy they have is okay, not great. They paid him, but he's not great. But his life will be a little easier than Frazier's in year one because he's going to start out at guard. It's not easy to be an NFL football player. So if you have one more obstacle than others don't, I think it's noteworthy. But hope you enjoyed it. We did a kind of different angle on this. If there's any big picture trends or anything you want Steeler related or not even, I absolutely will tackle them for you over the weekend or over the next couple weeks. Take care. Over and out.